Welcome to Sharp or Square, part of the Volume Podcast Network. This is the betting show that makes the squares sharper and makes the wise guys pay attention. I am Chad Millman. I am joined by my co-host, my BFF, my companion, my compadre, professional bettor, Simon Hunter. Hello, Simon!
Chad, I'm liking our new digs.
Dude, look at us, brother. We got a brand new title, Sharp or Square, brand new graphics, brand new home, brand new YouTube channel. Go subscribe to the Sharp or Square YouTube channel. You can get the shows on YouTube in the afternoons before they drop into audio feeds. That's important when getting the best of the number. Again, that is Sharp or Square on YouTube. Go subscribe. Like the video while you are at it. Of course, you will be able to get the show in your audio feeds. It's going to be dropped directly into the herd feed. You can also subscribe to Sharp or Square through Apple, through Spotify, etc., etc., etc. Dude, we loved our time at Action. We loved doing the favorites, but I got to tell you, I'm feeling re-energized by this new show. I could feel it yesterday on our call, planning today's show. How you feeling?
Yeah, just insane timing. I'm sure you had the same thing, which is a lot going on. And, now we have a new show. We have week one, brother, and I'm really excited just to dive back in.
Yeah, look, for those who are new to the show, and I don't know how many people there are that are new to the show, I've been a sports journalist and media exec for 25 years. I've been covering the gambling space for that long, starting with my, Simon, as you know, best-selling book, The Odds. I also helped launch the Action Network, where Simon and I used to be until recently. Simon is a professional bettor with more than a decade experience betting the NFL. Together, we take entirely different approaches to find consensus over the course of the week of our shows for 5 games that we want to put into our Pick'em contest. You can come along for the ride as we debate, we cajole, we support, we ridicule. Tuesday shows air at 1:30 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, covers the entire slate of games. Thursday show, also at 1:30, discusses a narrower set of games as we see injuries get reported, as lines start to move, as we get more intel from the wise guy and professional betting community. We're zeroing in on those. We will do a short show Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. For those who have been with us for years, you know that Simon and I will talk about the picks that we ultimately decide to settle on, our 5 favorite picks for our contests on Sunday morning. We're basically going to broadcast that conversation at 11 a.m. So you're going to hear as we go back and forth and try to keep ourselves from making bad, impulsive decisions. And then we will do our wrap-up show, look-ahead line show on Sundays after the late afternoon games and before Sunday Night Football begins. We'll do that 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Again, all that's going to be on the Sharp or Square YouTube channel. You got to subscribe, and on your favorite audio platforms. As you said, our lives have been nutty the past few days as we wrapped up our time with Action. I moved my kid into his dorm at Maryland. The very next morning, took a quick trip to Costa Rica for the book I'm reporting. But here we are. We've made it. And we've been waiting for the season to start long enough. Let's get into it, my brother. Here we go. Thursday night. Dude, crazy. Dallas plus 8.5 at Philly. You're wearing the green today. Look, we talked a lot about this game back in the spring. We loved the Cowboys. I bet the Cowboys at plus 7. I bet the Cowboys on the money line at plus 240. We were bought in on Dak coming back, on a offensive line that was being healthier, a defensive line that was being healthier. We thought there was general anti-sentiment, public sentiment, and on the Cowboys and inflation on the Eagles. Dude, in the last 24 hours, this line has gone from 7.5 to 8.5. What the actual freak?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing that Parsons is worth 2 points to this Cowboys team.
2 points. It's nuts. When I was working on the script yesterday, I was like, all right, he's worth 1 point. That is a ton. This line has steamed to 2 points. It's freaking nuts. And I can't see any other reason it's happening other than the Parsons news and people just thinking there's complete and total chaos, inside the Cowboys locker room right now. Normally that would be a spot where we're even more encouraged to play the Cowboys.
Yeah, pretty crazy that the bookmakers are kind of telling us that Parsons worth 2 points and the fact that they have to move it to protect against all these teasers, right? That's the first thing that jumped out to me is, talked to a couple of guys. I'm like, why is this moving so fast? And the reveal was the public came in and the professionals came in and they had no other option to go to 8.5. So, I mean, and like you said, first thought is I can't believe Parsons is worth 2 points. So I'm sure that shocked you as much as it shocked me.
Yeah, I can we've been talking about the Eagles all training camp. And they've looked so good, right? Jalen Carter has been as good as he has been in his career in 2 seasons. And we both bet him 20-1 on Defensive Player of the Year. And we like how Howie Roseman built that team and we like their draft picks and they've gotten even better in the defensive backfield. And, you've got Jalen Hurts as your number 2 overall quarterback and all that's amazing. So I do think there's been a lot of energy around the Eagles that's been pushing this number up even before Parsons was traded when people thought he might have been continuing to play with the Cowboys and just the holdout would end. Aggressive move at 8.5. I don't know how we don't back the Cowboys here. Like this number's kind of gotten out of control.
Yeah, it's a rare opportunity, right? It's Dak as an 8.5-point dog. So it's not that it feels like a no-brainer, right? There's reasons it's this high, right? The glaring weakness of this Dallas team was their run defense last year. And yes, they just traded for a D tackle, and that's a big deal to help that. But that's the question. But the Eagles have their own questions, Chad. And that's why I think there is value here where their number 2 corner is a big question mark. It's someone they just traded for 3 weeks ago. That's how bad their second corner position's been. So, to me, this is the type of game where we're really betting on matchups and, 8.5. That's a lot of wiggle room. That's a lot of wiggle room for a back door, especially where we know the weakness of this Eagles team is probably going to be that secondary. So, for me, it's a lot to be banking on Pickens and this new offense here. But, Schottenheimer, he's been taking a lot of shit, but I think that this is actually a nice spot for him. And they're kind of a team that everyone's turned into a joke and they're piling on. And lucky for us is now up to 8.5. So I don't know if we'll be in our contest, but I do like this one, just betting it at 8.5. It's a good number.
Simon, new show, same contrarian views. I love it. The uglier, the better. There's going to be a whole lot of that today. Kansas City Chiefs, Los Angeles Chargers. This is the Brazil game. Chargers are 3-point dogs. Pretty much painted 3. It was Chiefs 2.5. It's moved up a tick. I don't really have an opinion on this one, to be honest. Like Mahomes at less than 3 or as a dog, I'm still inclined to take it, even though it didn't work out for us in the Super Bowl. The Chargers defense is fierce. I think we were only guessing at this point about Kansas City and how much they've improved their offensive line. I like Justin Herbert more than you do. As a contest play, this is a pass. As a bet, this is kind of a pass. I don't know if you have a strong opinion.
I do. I'm shocked you don't like this one. To me, it's the opportunity, right? It's Herbert as a dog that might grow higher than 3. At 3.5, you have to anyone listening to this, if you have a contest that you can get 3.5, I feel like this might have to be an auto play for everyone out there listening to this show. And it's really strictly based off of what we've seen with Herbert. Herbert does not win these games. I agree with Chad that if this is 3 or below, I would not take him. But we see it time and time again. Anytime he's a 3.5-point dog against competition people view better than him, he covers. He's a cover machine in his exact spot. So, just going through his career record, so 3.5-point dog or more, he's 11-2-1 against the spread. 11-2-1, Chad. So it's like this is the Herbert window where you want Herbert. Again, there's other spots we'll back Herbert, but this is really ones that jump out to me is when every time he is 3.5 dog or more, it's been a cash cow. Again, 11-2-1 people. So this is one where I'm with you. Like because it's in Brazil, I was a little hesitant with it. But I think that actually benefits this team more than it would the Chiefs, and the fact that it's an even playing field, right? There is no home field advantage for the Chargers at home, let's be honest. So to me, it's beneficial for them to be on a neutral field like this is. And if you get to that magic number, that key number 3.5 with Herbert, don't think about it, just take it. He'll lose. He will lose. He will get outplayed, I'm sure, in the fourth quarter. Like, we know the deal, right, Chad? He'll have a 10-point lead, and they'll lose by 13 in the fourth quarter, right? And that's Herbert's problem. So, to me, I wouldn't touch the money line. Maybe we will. I don't know. It's a little early in the week, but just strictly betting right now, I'm waiting for the 3.5 to pop. A couple of books have touched 3.5. I've hit it. They've gone back down to 3. I'm hoping we get back there by game time because, again, it's a standalone game. The public will be betting this Chiefs side.
All right, well, it's not at 3.5 right now. I love the logic. Get it to 3.5 and then take the 3.5. As it stands right now, it might get there, but that's still a big move. And for most of us mortals who aren't up in the middle of the night watching the lines move from 3 to 3.5, it might never be a possibility. If we can get it in a contest play, fantastic. The 3.5 is definitely on the table. Personally, I feel like we're going to find so many games that we like. I mean, we've got a full slate that we like more, but I'm putting the Chargers on the board for a deeper conversation when we get to it on Thursday. See how things evolve between now and then. This next game, we've touched on this a couple times during the preseason. The Las Vegas Raiders visiting the New England Patriots. The Patriots are 2.5-point favorites. This line has moved from 3 to 2.5. And I feel like that's indicative of how you and I have been thinking about the Raiders and of how the market is starting to think about the Raiders and the combination of Pete Carroll and Ashton Genty and Brock Bowers and the idea that Max Crosby is coming back. And like, there has been so much hype about the Patriots and Drake May and his development and Mike Vrabel. All of a sudden, like, the professional community is starting to think a little bit more about who the Raiders are, what they can be. We both bet them as an over 6.5, one of our best bets in our preseason betting menu. At 2.5, are we still backing them?
Yeah, Raiders, I'm worried, Chad, we're too close. That's my fear right now, is that we are too close to it, and this one also feels too easy, right? I had a +3. That's where I thought we'd be at. This is another game where it's like, I thought public would just keep hyping up Drake May, who I keep saying he was 1-9 last year. And this really does remind me of the whole Fields discussion, right? People are just basing their prediction of this upcoming season on Drake May off potential. And I agree. It's exciting, right? They got Drake May, they got Vrabel, but that's something that's like season-long potential. This isn't week 1 potential. So I think we're both on the same page of Pete Carroll, the veteran head coach with a veteran quarterback, to me is a much better position than a young quarterback with a ton of hype and with a veteran coach in Vrabel, where it's like, I like Vrabel obviously for long-term for the rest of the season, but it's gone too far. And when this was -3, that felt way too much of a respect to Vrabel and this Patriots team, right? That was way too much respect. And so now most books have been hit, like you just said, by professionals. It's down to 2.5. Are we going to force this bet in? I don't think so. Like, to me, if this stayed 3, it went to 3.5, me and Chad would really like this one, maybe make it a contest play, but 2.5, I'll still take Raiders Sunday, most likely, even if it doesn't get back to 3, but I'm not going to force this one here. We're going to have opportunities on this Raiders team. It doesn't need to be week 1 here. I'm happy to be patient on this Raiders team and pick spots later on.
I am trying to teach myself this season. I've been reporting this book and spending a freak load of time with professional bettors and also doing a lot of self-scouting. I went through every pick I've made on NFL sides since 2017. I broke down when I do well, when I don't do well, what I fall prey to, when I seem to win games, what are the patterns. The best way to make money is to not lose money. And so I'm trying to be really disciplined about the picks I make and the numbers I chase and not getting too excited about what I think is the right side if the number isn't matching that. At 2.5, it starts to make me feel like I'm willing this to happen instead of being thoughtful about the bet. I would like it to get back to 3. I don't think it's going to get there.
Yeah, again, 2.5. I still think that's a fine number. Like I make this game literally 1.5, so I still think there's 1 point value on this Raiders team. But you just nailed it. We're trying to make money long term here and get the best of the number. The 3 is the best number. Don't force it here on the 2.5 because there's plenty of times where this game does land on Patriots winning by 3.
You know what I'm doing there, Simon? I'm taking a professional attitude and a professional approach to my betting for the 2025 NFL season. I say all that because, I don't know, I might just toss it to the wind on this next one. Cleveland plus 5.5 hosting the Cincinnati Bengals. Oh my God, Simon, I know my lean. Without giving it away, my question is, what do we have to believe in order to buy into the Browns?
Simon says, give me the Browns
Fuck
plus
you, man.
5.5.
Come on. Come on.
You gotta do it.
Dude, we got a whole new segment on the show. Chad loves love. Everyone knows I'm a romantic. You know, I've been married forever. Beautiful wife. Kids that I love who are no longer in the house because they've decided to abandon us and go live their lives and spend all their time going to fucking darties. But you know what a darty is, Simon?
A party?
It's a day party. That's what in college they call day parties darties. So all I'm hearing about this weekend is darties at the University of Maryland campus. But this was going to be my Chad Loves Love bet.
I'll give it to you if you want. I got other ones I can fire on, but this one jumped out to me just because I think this number is moving.
I might want it at some point, but let me see how we go through the rest of the board. Give me your take because like I wanted to marry this bet.
The reason I love this spot so much, Chad, is just the week 1 home underdog. And that's why I love the Browns in this exact spot. So week 1 divisional home underdogs are 23-7 against the spread since 2010. They are 10-2 since 2018 and 18-4 since 2012. Thank you, Evan Abrams. I love that stat so much about divisional home underdogs. And it's the moneymaker, right? It's the public overrating a road favorite that just happens to play against a divisional team. We talk all the time. Divisional teams just play weird. I know Joe Burrow actually has done pretty well against the Browns here these last couple of years, but this is a really bad spot, right? This is a fully healthy Browns team that actually believes in themselves. This is week 10 Browns and they were 1-9. We'd be betting this different. This is even. In their minds, they can make up maybe be a 7th seed. So to me, the Browns are going to be playing hard, and this number should be 3.5. Public has bet this up to 5, 5.5, 6. We love that free value. So yeah, this is obviously one of my favorite bets on the board and a bet I've been betting all summer.
Yeah, look, I think that you're getting the Joe Burrow effect on this game, right? The Browns defense we know is dominant. The Bengals offensive line was one of the worst offensive lines in football last year. And then the Bengals did absolutely zero. In fact, they might have made it worse. So if there's a worse number than 32, the Bengals are now the negative 32 worst offensive line in the NFL. Then you've got all the drama with Trey Hendrickson that even if he has signed his deal, what kind of shape is he going to be in? How long will it take him to get back into playing shape? You had all the drama with Shamar Stewart, who I'm not sold is really an answer to anything on the defensive line for the Bengals. Their defense was terrible also, and the best thing they've really done is add Al Golden as a defensive coordinator. So I just think there's holes all over this team, and they think they can be papered over with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins, and they can't. And they're going against one of the best pass rushes and one of the best pass rushers in a generation. Give me the Browns plus 5.5. I can't see how this is not a contest play. This is a Simon Says. It may be a Chad Loves Love unless I can find something better to convince Simon to take as a Simon Says. Old habits die hard. Go Browns plus 5.5. Arizona at New Orleans plus 6.5. I don't really have a ton of thoughts on this game. Like, maybe Arizona, maybe the Saints get into our money line underdog round robin when we talk about it on Thursday. It's been about a full point of line movement since lines open. Started at 5.5, has gone up to 6.5. Really just bets coming in and money coming in on Arizona. You got any thoughts here? Like Spencer Rattler is the Saints starter. I just don't have enough faith that the Cardinals can go on the road and win by a touchdown.
Yeah, I agree with your point that this number just feels way too big at this point, and that they're trying to get us to bet the Saints team. So I'd rather just go the other way. I'll take Kyler first half, and I assume that he'll somehow falter this in the second half, and they'll somehow cover this number because this will be one of the book's biggest needs, right? No one's betting the Saints. No one is going in there and taking a position, and everybody's probably throwing in their 4-5 team teaser on the back end, this Cardinals team. And this is, to me, too fishy. I don't know why they would do that to me. I trusting Kyler at this big of a number, especially in week one, just not a smart bet. It's way too big. And, if we had, I would say if this got up to 7, I would be more confident in playing contest or thinking about putting in, just because at that point, that's way too much respect to a Cardinals team that doesn't deserve it, and disrespect to a Saints team. We talked about, they're a veteran team, right? They're just really bad at the quarterback position. So the value there is not there for me yet to play the Saints team. Like I said, I feel safer taking Kyler first half, but the books will get me there eventually. If this reaches 7 and 7.5 on Sunday morning, I'll be tempted to throw some money on it. But no, like, this is not going to be one of our 5, that's for sure.
I am so bad at making bets on Sunday morning in terms of my historical record. Almost all of my wins come the first 3 days of the week. Every game I bet in the first 3 days of the week, I do so much better than I do when we get to Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I need to be disciplined this year. I can't be making silly bets on Sunday morning because I'm getting excited about a half point. Discipline and focus, Simon. That's what I do. New York Giants at Washington Commanders. The Commanders are now 6-point favorites. Look, we've talked about this all season in a previous iteration of our show. We don't love the Commanders. Like, under 9.5 wins was one of my favorite season win total bets. We expect some natural regression, not a knock on Jaden Daniels at all. It's just the natural order of things. The problem is, we think the Giants are trash. And we went through their schedule. We could not find 5 wins to get them over 4.5 wins. I know this is a big divisional dog, but this is, to me, a little bit of a different scenario, because I do think the Commanders are better overall than, say, the Bengals. And I think that the Giants traveling makes this a little bit sketchier to me. It has dropped from 7 to 6.5 to 6. So we know wise guys have been coming in on the Giants. We've missed the best of it.
Yeah, and I actually love the Commanders here. And I talk to those wise guys. I get their reasoning for it. My pushback against them is that Commanders with Jaden Daniels is the perfect type of quarterback to neutralize a good defensive line like they have, right? And, say what you want, last year in that NFC Championship game, they didn't lose because of Daniels against that Eagles team, right? That was not on him. It felt like it was a lot of the other stuff where he had guys around him fumbling the ball and his defense not able to get stops. You look here in this matchup, that's the strength of this Giants team, is that D-line. Again, he's the perfect guy to neutralize that. They're going to be able to get him outside the pocket and attack that D-line in different ways. So this number is moved to 5.5, Chad. So, I really like it, but it's very interesting that much respect and professional money has come in this heavy on this Giants team, moved it this much. So, to me, they're kind of banking heavily here on Russell Wilson and him being, much more consistent. And they're also looking at the history. The Giants, for the Daniel Jones era, they owned this Washington team. I just think that's totally off basis. Those are totally 2 different teams, and this Washington team has a totally different identity. So I know that last year they did play them tough, and I remember we had the Giants in that game. The Giants, if they just simply had a kicker, would have probably won the game outright. So I get why they're going back to that tape and thinking that the Giants have the players to make me get this type of stops and be able to keep them in this game and keep this as a close one. And I can't believe I don't love them as a divisional road dog here, but I think Chad nailed it. Like, this number moved too much. I think it could literally land right on 6. And to me, if you're getting the 5.5, which a lot of books have right now, that's the play. That's the move for me on this Washington team.
All right, so I'm putting this on the board as a revisit because I agree with you. At 5.5, it starts to all of a sudden become, wait a second, what? Like, Russell Wilson hasn't been effective in 2 years. This is not a team that has proven it can execute against a home team and a guy who's already a top 10 quarterback. It's
And
Russell
Wilson 2-6 against the spread in week 1.
Yeah, it's going to be tough
again,
to pass that one up at less than 6. But I'm curious, like, we'll get some calls from wise guys on Thursday, and so we'll see what some of the thinking is on that, and if they can change our minds on this game. Carolina Panthers at Jacksonville Jaguars. Dude, Jaguars are 3.5-point favorites right now. We love the Panthers, always. Full stop. This is a Carolina Panthers podcast. We loved their season win total of over 6.5. We like their offensive line enough. We loved how Bryce Young was a gamer the second half of last year. He went 7-2 against the spread, 4 outright wins. He was just much, much better as he made decisions. He was extending plays, helping the scramble rate jump from 25% to 47%. And it wasn't just because of offensive line troubles. It was him moving in the pocket to make plays and then using his accuracy on the run. That's why we liked him. What's interesting to me is the Jags looked like trash during the preseason for parts of it. This line has moved from just in the last 24 hours from 3 to 3.5. So it's moved off a key number. Enough money has come in that bookmakers had to move it off of 3. What do you think is going on here?
Yeah, just like you were saying, it's the Liam Cohen hype, right? This is all Jaguars love. It's all good right now, right? Everyone's paying the rosiest pitcher. Look what he did with Baker. He'll come here, save Trevor Lawrence. Hey, Chad, Trevor Lawrence was 8-3 at one point and one of the best quarterbacks of football before he got a slight injury, and now it's been 2 years of just absolute hell for that Jaguars organization. Yes, we do know, and I just think it's a lot of love for this Jaguars team that, yes, they have talent, but they have many, many weaknesses across the board on this team. And lucky for them, I don't know if the Panthers can exploit those weaknesses, right? Who on that pass rush of the Panthers is really giving you scare if you're a Jaguars offensive line? Not really much there to work with. So, we'll bet the 3.5. That to me is the plus 3.5. That's where the value is on the Panthers. But I'm not in love with this one. It feels like a bet I'm forcing in there just because it feels like a little bit of an off number. And I had this number right at 3. So yes, the value is on 3.5, but I assume I'll skip putting this one in the contest and maybe we'll just get that money line round robin come Thursday.
Well, I'm putting it on the list because maybe things will change over the next 48 hours. I want to love the Panthers so much here. I feel like it would be irresponsible to make them a Chad loves love bet right now. Because that would just be torture for all of our listeners, given our history with the Panthers. However, Miami visiting the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are 1.5-point favorites, painted 1.5 across the board. As my close friend Billy Joel likes to say, for the longest time. Oh, did you see that documentary?
No, I must have missed that.
Dude, it's amazing. It's on HBO Max. 5.5 hours of Billy Joel, who was just straight crazier than you would think. But this line has been at 1.5 the entire summer. We're going to completely disagree on this one. I like Miami. You're going to like Indy. If Tua stays upright against a mediocre to bad defense that doesn't have a great pass rush, that's just a clear advantage to me. And I know, like, you are so off of Miami, and I know you like Indy even more now that we know Daniel Jones is starting. I'm not seeing it.
Again, Chad, these are all season-long thoughts. Don't try to put me into a corner here, okay? I'm talking
Don't
season-long
put
when I'm
baby in a
talking.
corner.
Yeah. So I get the Miami love. To me, I'll just tease them. I'll get this up to 7.5. That's where I'm comfortable because Miami is heavily the public side. And it's for good reason, right? I think anyone, unless you've been on Mars, knows this Colts team has been trash in week one. Doesn't matter if it was Andrew Luck or Philip Rivers, it's always been bad. And I believe they're 2-14 straight up and against the spread in week one. 2-14. Tua, pretty good week one. I don't know if you've seen his stats. He's actually 2-0 straight up and against the spread in week one on the road in his career. I think he's 4-0 in his career in week one straight up. So, yeah, Tua obviously week one on the road in a hostile environment. He's done really well. I get Chad's love for it. I'll join him, but again, in a teaser, I would not play the 1.5 just because it just feels way too risky. It just both these teams, like you just said, Daniel Jones, I don't know what I'm getting, but I know it's gonna be better than Anthony Richardson. And in this exact spot, I know I hate saying they're due, but my God, are they due, Chad, to cover a week one spread? 2-14. I can't wrap my head around the last 16 years. So, yeah, Miami, I'm not letting you put them in our contest. It's too public, but for a teaser, I like it. 7.5.
Right until that last comment, I'm like, all right, I feel like we got a chance here with
No,
Miami.
no.
And I agree, it's so public as with a nod to our new show. It's pretty fucking square. And I love it so much. If you hadn't have just said all that stuff, I might have to marry this bet.
I could get there because then the biggest weakness of this Colts team is their secondary. The biggest strength of Miami is their passing attack, right? With Tyreek and Waddle, who are both healthy right now. So I get what your love for it. I'm just, man, why is this number not moved at all? And it's just been taking money for the last 5 months. So that's what's scaring me, brother.
Right. Like, what's the logic here? Bookmakers know they're lopsided on Miami. So
Yeah.
why are they not trying to change anything at this point? No one is biting. All right. I still got to commit to somebody. I got to fall in love. I got to marry someone. I haven't yet, other than the Browns. And you came in, undercut me. Classic. Pitt at New York Jets +3. I know you want to bet the Jets. I don't even have to hear you explain it. And I feel like they've got Quinnen Williams, dominant defensive tackle, potentially dominant corner in Sauce Gardner, if he can return to what he was in his rookie year. It was a good defense before Robert Saleh got fired and they cratered. And we loved what Aaron Glenn did with the Lions when they were literally down to guys off the street. We think he can motivate this team. But we know the ceiling on Justin Fields. And the Steelers know the ceiling on Justin Fields. So to me, if I think about this as a matchup, and if there's a play like an advantage in the handicap, I don't really see it. Like, I don't think Aaron Rodgers is the Aaron Rodgers of old. I think he had a couple good years with Matt LaFleur, because he listened to Matt LaFleur. But he had a crappy year, mediocre year last year on a, garbage situation. Now he's got a relatively conservative offensive coordinator. You say you don't know what you're getting in Miami and Indy. I don't really feel like I know what I'm getting in this game and the key players and quarterback of Justin Fields and Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, you know me too well, Chad. I love the Jets. And
Yeah.
I love that it's season long, though. Once again, I don't need to force it week one, but obviously I'm going to play the 3. You know me. It's Tomlin on the road as a favorite. Is this not a spot we always fade him in this exact spot? Like, this man hates to have love. He hates to be loved in this exact spot. So to me, it's a no-brainer where, I like that the Jets' identity right now to the general public is a little unknown, where when you listen to insiders, you can get a really good read on this team where we know what they're going to be, right? They're going to be an extremely run-heavy team, and I think they will unleash Fields here in this type of matchup where you're getting the read option, and he'll be carrying it pretty heavy against his former team. Again, this is going to mean a lot to him. This is a team that had him in-house and let him walk. That's gonna be on top of his mind. And Aaron Rodgers, obviously a revenge game. It's not a great matchup for him, right? This is a defensive line that gets after the quarterback and is going to keep on moving him off his spot, especially up the middle, which we've seen him struggle with. So, just really comes down to the number. Like if this was 1.5, I really wanted to be on Pittsburgh. Never got down even close to it. It's been 3, 2.5, almost every book. So at 3, that's a Jets number. I'll take it. But like Chad said, no need to force this one. Another game where it's like, I'm betting it because it feels like this is what I do, taking these ugly home dogs in this exact spot where no one believes in them. But it's also a team that we just don't know enough about this Jets team that my only real advantage here is that I think they're going to be able to run the ball pretty well against this Pittsburgh team, the way they're going to be able to run block. So, really excited for this Jets team this upcoming season, but I will make Chad take it here.
Dude, we got a couple of games coming up that I actually am pretty sweet on. And I'm excited to get your opinion. It's not Tampa Bay, Atlanta. Atlanta's 2.5. It's an interesting game. Like I mentioned the Saints-Cardinals game, that game had moved to full point. So has this one. Not a ton of games have moved that much. It's one of the few that has moved sort of that much. To be honest, I'm not sure I understand the move, which has happened over it's happened over the past week. I kind of lean Falcons at this spot in this number. We have Baker's a top 10 QB, but a lot of that is based on what he did last year. And that was predicated on increased screen passes to help him manage the pressure. His EPA, expected points added on screens, was the second highest the past 4 seasons behind just Patrick Mahomes. Like it helped him decrease his sack rate. New offensive coordinator. Again, we don't really know how they're going to utilize Baker in a screen game. To me, it's really about Penix. Can Penix be protected? Can he stay, as the football experts like to say, on schedule? Because if he was on schedule, meaning clean pocket, throwing in rhythm, only Lamar Jackson was better in those scenarios. And when he needs to run, and that's with a minimum of 100 passes, when he needs to scramble and he's sort of out of sync, he craters. So we kind of need to know, is Michael Penix going to get protected to feel confident betting them as dogs? Love the weapons, though. Love the weapons. Don't love this game yet.
No, I have to go some chalk somewhere, people. This is where I'm going chalk. So I'll take Bucks here. And now that it's still under 3, I think that's a good number, but I'm going to read this line again, people. This is why I'm so hesitant to really hammer this one and, jump on the table for it. Week 1 divisional home underdogs, 23-7 against the spread since 2010. So it is technically a spot you should be taking Atlanta, but I think they're getting too much respect here and too much disrespect to a Bucks team that, they're highly talented. And last year against this exact Atlanta team, they let a couple of games get away that they shouldn't have. So I think there's going to be a highly motivated Bucks team here, and I like this spot and a key number under 3. So I get the Atlanta love. The trends point to it as well. I can't. He's lost key guys to the offensive line, and Penix cannot be moved off his spot. He struggles when he's moved off his spot. So I just can't get there with Penix and back in the Atlanta team.
Simon, you've said it a couple times this show. You feel good about a team season long, but it doesn't necessarily mean you like them this weekend. Tennessee is at Denver. Denver is a 7.5-point favorite. Along with the Cowboys and the Eagles, this is the biggest number on the board. And this, until the past 24 hours, it's the only number on the board that had touched 8 with the Broncos. And then there was a little bit of buyback on the 8 by professionals, and it went back down to 7.5. Look, Denver's defense is elite. Like, depending on the category you want to focus on, it could be the best in the NFL. In this case, I want to focus on pass rush, which it was the best in the NFL. And they have the defending defensive player of the year and Pat Surtain at defensive back. Like we like the Titans season long, and we like what we've seen from Cam Ward. Chase Daniel, the former quarterback. I love his TikToks, and he has been loving Cam Ward. Don't laugh at me. I can like TikTok, and he has been loving Cam Ward and how he's been developing and what he's seen in the preseason. Number one overall quarterbacks. Past 16, 1-15 against the spread in their first game. It's been 23 years since the number one overall pick at quarterback even won his first start. That was David Carr with the Texans. Believe it or not, Simon, I covered that game for ESPN the magazine. I know we love Cam Ward. I'm super high in their offensive line. We love Bill Callahan. They signed the dude, Kevin Seitzer from, was that his name? From the Lions. I feel like I want to be on Denver here.
Chad, I can't believe you're saying that. I cannot believe you like them in this spot where this is, you don't even have to be into sports, but you know this is a terrible spot. So what did Bo Nix do that was so historical last year? He never lost or didn't cover as a favorite last year. I believe it was 8-0 or 9-0, something insane like that. On the flip side, we have a Tennessee team that went 2-15 against the spread, I believe, last season. So just off that alone, you are getting what, 2-3 free points just off that, off the public perception of that right there, which is like a cash cow in Denver to all these bettors, and Tennessee an easy fade for all of them, where it's a whole new world. Like, this is totally different. This is not the same Tennessee team, and it's not the same Denver team. Like, again, as much as we're all painting a rosy picture of this Denver team and, hey, they might win this division, this is a tall task to ask them to cover this big of a number at home in week one with all those expectations and pressure, playing against a Tennessee team that they have no worries. And Chad nailed it. The fear here is the rookie quarterback on the road in their first start. So survivor pool, yeah, Denver layup week one, right? I think rookies since the 1970 merger, 8-21 straight up in this exact spot on the road in their first start. Now, Chad mentioned the last rookie quarterback to win, tons of respect, David Carr. Caleb Williams did it last year, right? Caleb Williams won as a rookie in his first start, which was a really big deal as the number one pick. It just doesn't happen, right? The number one picks tend to lose. We've seen that historical data. So once again, it's another nice spot to take Denver and Survivor. But against the spread, it feels like a horrible, horrible spot to back Denver. And as bad as these rookie quarterbacks are covering the spread on the road, they're 13-14 against the spread in week one on the road. So, this isn't that terrible spot against the spread. It's just a bad spot for him to win outright. So people out there, tease Denver. I think that's a great one to throw in there. I just cannot see them losing this game. All this stuff points to Tennessee team losing this game, but covering 7.5, there's 8.5s out there, Chad. I don't know if you've seen it. There's been 8.5s popping up in a couple different books and 8s popping up all around. So, to me, this is the type of game where it's like, the closer we get, and if our contest has this 8.5, how do we not play it? That's an insane number when all the ATS stuff points to this Tennessee team being heavily underrated and Denver being heavily overrated based off last season.
I'm not even thinking about last season, dude. I'm only thinking about the situation for a rookie quarterback going against one of the best defenses in the NFL and one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL and having to play in altitude in an entirely different situation that is even from what he's been practicing against and what he had in the preseason. I think the Broncos might kill them.
That's fair. Again, that's fair. This Tennessee team has a lot of issues, but I still think a lot of their problems last year just went back to the quarterback position. And people are overrating too much about their defensive struggles. Their defense on Tennessee is not as bad as you think. And I think they might give some problems to Bo Nix in this September offense. So I get where your love's coming from, Chad, but I just think it's way too high to be betting this one. 7.5 is high.
Well, look, we're gonna do our annual weekly head-to-head on Thursday's show. So feels like this game might be in contention, that one of us might pick for it and one of us might pick against it. I don't need
I
to.
wonder which one's. I wonder which one's sharp or square.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see. We'll see. Exactly. I'm already against the name of this new show. I feel like, by the way, we need a new bet category called SOS because, that's the name of the show, but also it highlights an emergency situation. And I feel like we're going to run into some of those over the course
I'm
of
trying
this.
to save you right now, and you're fighting me. That's all I'm going to say.
I can't be saved.
You can't. You got to go into it, don't
I
you?
am just a lost cause. There's just going to be times where I can't help myself. Houston at the Rams, lean Rams moved actually in the last 24 hours from 2.5 to 3. No strong opinion here.
Yeah, let's keep it moving. I'm with Chad. Like, I want to be on the Rams, but there's just so much little to go off here. And yeah, to me, it's under 3. That's a good number. I'll take the Rams, but I'm with you, Chad. Maybe I'll have more confidence come Thursday, but right now, I have thousands of bets people for week 1. You wouldn't even want to see my binder filled with tickets right now. This game is so small. I bet so little on it because of all the injuries to Houston's team, all the injuries to this Rams, and all the questions around Stafford. So yeah, 2.5. I'll take the Rams. I'm with Chad. I just don't have a real read on it as we sit here on Tuesday.
Guess what? Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
The biggest move of the offseason. Detroit Lions are heading to Green Bay. They were 1.5 point favorites. The line moved a month ago to favor the Packers at 1.5. Since the Micah Parsons news, it has gone to 2.5. Like on our old show, we talked about liking Detroit more and more as training camp went on and finding value and wanting to like them at plus 145 to win the division. Again, this was all before the Micah Parsons news. And we started to like them as 1.5 point dogs. Now they are 2.5 point dogs, thanks to the Micah Parsons trade. Again, a point of value being ascribed to Micah Parsons. Let me tell you a story. So Micah Parsons was traded at about 5 o'clock on Thursday. I went back and I looked to see when the exact line move happened. It was 5:07 p.m. At that time, I literally just said goodbye to my son after we had moved him into his dorm and we were walking away. And we are like barely functioning, walking to our car. Our son and his new roommate were, probably 15 steps ahead of us. We just happened to be walking the same direction, but they were ahead of us. And his new roommate is a huge Packers fan. And I had been giving him shit the entire day that we were moving in about the Packers, right? And as we are all walking away, my son, who's ahead of us, turns around and says to me, "Dad, the Packers just traded for Micah Parsons." This was just after 5 p.m. And the roommate starts going crazy and saying wildly inappropriate shit to someone who is an elder. But I look at when the line move happened, 5:07 p.m. You can think like exactly when Parsons was traded, that's when the line went from 1.5 to 2.5. Simon, I'm going to tell you right now, there are reports that he's going to need an injection to play. Chad loves love. Chad loves the Detroit Lions at plus 2.5.
I will say this, Chad. I want to hate it. I won't lie to you. I do want to hate it. I want to go against it because this is going to be the most lopsided game. And I feel like it's such a sucker where I probably have 50 teasers and about half of them have the lines in there at 7.5. And now it's at 8.5 now. Like it's even better to throw them in a teaser. But if you're going off just strictly against the spread, this is why I love Lions with you. And I'm like, again, it's hard for me to go against Green Bay in this spot because this is such a Green Bay spot. But Dan Campbell, 11-3 against the spread in September. That's pretty incredible. Goff, our guy, 8-0 against the spread week 1. 8-0 against the spread. And even better, he's 4-0 straight up and against the spread with the Rams, and he's 4-0 against the spread with the Lions. So it's like this guy just does it. Doesn't matter if he was with the Rams. He came to Detroit, and they wwere terrible when he came here, and he's still been a covering machine in week 1. So I don't get it. I dove into the numbers, and it's like, who is, because again, I know some professionals who have put 6 figures now onto the Green Bay team. And this was before the Parsons news. Like, they've been taking a position for months on this Green Bay team, even with all the, Love hurting his non-throwing hand, and all the wide receivers being hurt. Again, Golden's looked great in camp for them, but all their other receivers around him have been either injured or falling apart. I couldn't be lower on this Packers team coming this season because I was high coming in, and it was just so negative in camp. It really made me doubt them, but it really is the little floor factor, right? I think that's why people love this Packers team so much in the spot where the Packers, they're 15-3 against the spread since 2019 in their first 3 games. They're 7-0 against the spread in that stretch at Lambeau. So it's all there. Like, the trends are telling you that this is a spot to back this Green Bay team at home. But we just went through it. This Lions team with Campbell and Goff had been incredible in September, and especially in the week 1. So, man, this is a tough one. And I'm going to support my guy here, Chad. Even though it feels insanely trappy, I'm with him. I think the books are overreacting too much on the loss of the coordinators. The talent level is still very high for Detroit. And, we'll see. Like, Green Bay, again, they might be better down the road, but that Parsons thing, I'm with you. That threw a real wrench into the whole thing where it's like he's getting a shot in his back before this game. So I'll join you. I'll take that 2.5 with this Lions team.
All right. Now we are freaking talking. Now we are on the same page. Now we are finding our rhythm.
I'm going to get a lot of calls about this one.
Oh, we are going to get so many calls about this one. I cannot wait, but we're going to stand our ground. We have gone against the wise guy community before, and it has worked out well for us. There is just not enough respect for this Lions team. There's one other team that's getting woefully disrespected that we're going to talk about, but I'm glad to see we're on the same page. I'm glad to see we're starting to narrow down our 5 that we love for a contest. Baltimore at Buffalo. Buffalo's a 1.5-point favorites. We can agree that I think Baltimore and the Eagles might have the best all-around rosters in the NFL. The Bills opened at 1.5. Money kind of flowed into Baltimore. The market moved it to 1. Now it's sort of everywhere between pick and 1.5. And I'm a little bit lost on this game. If I can get the 1.5, I really want to back Baltimore. I think they're the better overall team. There's always going to be a little bit of more hype on the reigning MVP. That's a narrative that people want to bet into if they are public bettors. Baltimore, to me, feels like the play here.
Yeah, well, let's put Baltimore, and we'll talk more about this one on Thursday. For right now, I'm with Chad that I think this is a big advantage to this Baltimore team. I think they're the better team on paper. My favorite part, too, is that their last time they were in this exact spot was them losing the playoffs on a heartbreaking drop by, Andrew Thomas, their tight end.
Mark Andrews.
And that's a big deal. Like, that's something that's hung about them. They've trained all offseason thinking about that. With the Bills, they're thinking about the Chiefs. They're not thinking about this Ravens team like that. So, again, a game I think we'll dive way more to on Thursday. But for right now, I want to talk to more people, but I'm with Chad. Like, this one feels very easy on this Ravens side. And, I have this at a pick. I could get to -1 the Ravens. I'm sure, I'm going to really dive into it more, but to me, I just think this is a good value on this, especially at +1.5. That's great value on this Ravens side.
All right. Speaking of disrespectful, Minnesota at the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears are home dogs of 1.5 points on Monday night with a visiting quarterback who is essentially a rookie, J.J. McCarthy, who missed all of last season, in prime time in his first game. Last year, the Bears were overinflated because of Caleb hype, but this is insanity. Explain this to me, Simon. Explain this to me as if I'm not a diehard Bears fan who is thinking about this game constantly and is so looking forward to it.
just from a fan perspective, Chad, I'll tell you this is that we don't trust Caleb Williams. I think that's like the first part of it, where when I'm looking at betting this side, that was like my hardest part, is getting over everything I saw last year from Caleb. And again, that's not all on Caleb. That was on the coaching staff and how they failed him in many ways. And then it's a question of your head coaching position. It's like, I like this guy a lot. I love what he's going to do for your team going forward. But in week one, I'm going to give the advantage to this Vikings staff that have been together, that, their biggest change is obviously at the quarterback position, which is a big one. But the Bears, this is all new. This is a new defensive scheme. It's a new offensive scheme. It's a lot of moving parts, and there might be some really hard growing pains for this team, especially you have Caleb going against Brian Flores, one of the best defensive coordinators in football. So I would say that is why they've made them a dog, but I'm with you. It's like J.J. McCarthy is a favorite in his first start on the road in a divisional game. Get out of here.
In prime time on Monday Night Football? Yeah. Are you kidding me?
So I'm with you. Like, I'm back in this Bears team, but I would say from the public perspective, that is why I guess people are betting this Vikings team and they're getting the respect as a favorite right now. But I'm right there with you. I could not believe, months ago when this opened up and they were a favorite on the road, Vikings in this exact spot. So yeah, it's once again, it's the offseason hype, right? People are thinking to themselves, well, if Sam Darnold can get this team to 14-2, imagine what J.J. McCarthy can do if he's just, half the quarterback we think he can be with the potential he has coming out of Michigan. So the hype is peak right now for this Vikings team. And you're right where you want to be if you're a Bears fan. You're being counted out, already an underdog, week one at home. So I think this is a nice spot in this primetime game for this Bears team.
Simon, like a bunch of my buddies will send me money before the season starts, and I will, as I like to say, invest the money wisely over the course of the season. And I will give our investment group a new name every year, normally related to the Bears. Last year, it was Caleb Can Cash. Not a great year for the Caleb Can Cash investment group. This year, the name, it's all about the Benjamin Johnson.
I see what you did
there. See what I did there? I feel like we got like a great roster of games that we're narrowing down and digging in on. The Bears, the Lions, the Ravens, the Browns, maybe the Cowboys, maybe the Panthers, maybe the Commanders. This is good. I like where we're headed. And when we get to Thursday, we're going to talk about your biggest bet of the week. We're going to go head to head. We're going to have our favorite calls from our favorite wise guys. We're going to have a very ballsy bet. We're going to have one more special bet for all of our listeners, new and old, Thursday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern on YouTube. We are Sharper Square, part of the Volume Podcast Network. Like I said, 1:30 Thursday afternoon. We'll be zeroing in on some of the picks we love the most. Listen, Apple Pods, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, find the Sharp or Square feed. It's also going to be posted into the Herd feed, directly into the Herd feed. You can get it from both places, but definitely subscribe to the Sharp or Square feed. Obviously, subscribe to Sharp or Square on YouTube. Like the videos. Comment if you'd like to do that. We love when people rate, when they review, because feedback is always a gift. Until next time, love you.